Welcome to this special presentation of the Smooth Thrills Radio Hour. Have fun, everyone.
Take it away, Nathan.
Joining us on today's program is a very special guest whose acting credits include Angel Dusted, Men at Work, Same River Twice, Impure Thoughts, Welcome to 18, Curfew, Fugitive Mind, Skeeter, Camp Nowhere, The Sure Thing, Room for Two, One Day at a Time, and Star Trek The Next Generation. His directorial credits include tons of television shows such as Ugly Betty, Scrubs, Cougar Town, American Housewife, and Beetleborgs. He also did the TV movie.
You left out Scrubs. Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, you did a lot. There's a lot to leave out.
We'll name it
All
twice.
right.
Yeah.
There's a lot to,
He also did the TV remake of The Poseidon Adventure, and in the words of the great Jim Wynorski, of the three Poseidon adventures, his is the longest. His directorial work.
That one from.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
His directorial work in film seamlessly spans both mainstream and truly independent fare, including Valerie Flake, Mojave Phone Booth, Beethoven's Christmas Adventure, American Pie Presents The Book of Love, The Father and the Bear, Bachelor Man, Atlas Shrugged Part 2, Where There's a Will, and the Route 30 trilogy. And on top of all that, he portrayed Sean Brody in Jaws 3D and was this close to make it in the water last night. It is our absolute pleasure and smooth thrill to welcome John Putch to our wacky proceedings. Thank you, sir.
An amazing intro. Thank you.
I should let you do the
Thank
intros
you,
for the
thank
show
you.
from now on.
Yes.
That was great. I was waiting for you to skip the Route 30 trilogy, but you put it in there. Thank you.
Of course.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't skip that. It's greatness, man.
Oh my God, fun!
So
that's a long. I counted up my TV directing not last year, and I'm up to 118
Jesus.
episodes.
Wow.
Of television, and I know that's it. There are people who have 600 that I know, but I felt when I reached 100, I thought I could. Well, I'll start counting now and feel good about my history there on the TV set.
Yeah. Well, what's going on with, speaking of that, are you currently working on anything? Are you still shut down or?
Pretty shut down. I'm working on some stuff here. I'd like to do another home movie, another small indie, another micro budget. And I'm working on a couple of ideas for that. But until Hollywood goes back to work, I'm just, standing by.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're ready for the next indie flick from you, man.
Oh, thanks.
Yes.
I got some funny ideas. Just got to find the dough to make it. That's all. Same old story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of your productions are self-financed, are they not?
Yes. And the reason I like to do that is, well, as I said, when I started working in television as a director, I was using the money for good instead of evil. And I chose to pay for them myself because I really didn't feel right about asking other people for money. And so I had a savings account, and every time I did a TV show, I would put some away in this little account. And when I had enough to shoot something, I would go, I'm making a movie. And that's how Mojave and the Route 30 trilogy and Father and the Bear went. And starting with the Route 30 trilogy in 2007, I have to basically thank Bill Lawrence, the great television writer and producer who created Scrubs and Cougar Town, among others. He basically kept me working for 10 years, and guy gave me a ton of work, and I so appreciate it. And I used, the most of that money to make these movies. And every time I'd come back from the summer shooting, I'd see Bill on the set. I go, Bill, big hug, and I thank him again for the work. I'd say, you just financed another movie this past summer. He goes, no. I go, yes, and you should do it sometime. It's fun. He goes, no, I'll never do that. I go, oh, come on, you could do it in a second.
Yeah.
So Anyway, thanks, Bill Lawrence, for financing basically an entire trilogy and the last one I made, The Father and the Bear, the drama.
Yeah.
So
yeah, thank you indeed, man. Yeah, I love those flicks, man. I've not seen The Father and the Bear yet, I have to say, and I'm not. Yeah, so I got to see the third Route 30 also, but I'm almost there.
You haven't seen the third?
I've seen the 2/3 of the trilogy. Okay.
Oh, it wraps the whole thing. I can't wait to hear what you say.
Okay.
All questions answered in part 3.
Okay. Awesome. Very cool. Very cool.
Intriguing indeed.
Yeah. So I'm guessing this might be, if we talk about Jaws 3D, this would be your first feature film role, is it not?
It was.
Because
I don't
prior
remember
to that,
doing any features before then.
But you did Angel Dusted, the TV movie, which was quite the feat. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a huge job. That was a big tentpole TV movie for NBC. My mother was in it. I had to audition 80 million times. I got the part. Thankfully, I'm sure it was just to make her feel good. But anyway, at the time, I thought I deserved it. So I did this Angel Dusted TV movie, and then I started going out on a lot of stuff. And I guess that was one of them because it was right around the same time or right after. I think Angel Dusted was 81, and the auditioning and the shooting of J3D was in 82, came out in 83. So, by the way, fascinating fact, when we were shooting J3D in Orlando, Florida, a little-known television sitcom called Cheers debuted.
Never heard of
on NBC. Yeah. And I remember sitting in my apartment or condo, whatever it was, and I remember the big kickoff debut, and me and a few other people gathered and watched it.
Wow.
We just those days are over.
Yeah. The events.
TV watching parties, you know?
Well, the event of television is
the event
such
of
a big
television.
deal. Yeah,
The event of television.
Speaking of television, we got the TV guide that has the promotional for Jaws 3D.
Kidding. Never seen that.
Really?
What's the date? What's the date on that?
It is
16th?
July 16 to 22.
So 22 was that Friday when it released wide, the movie.
That's right, July 22. Wow, look at that fold out.
And Nathan, you were telling me before we even got you on the line here that they did this for every Jaws movie. They did this same fold out.
They did it from the original Jaws. Jaws 2 had 2 issues of TV Guide. They had a teaser poster, and then they had a release poster, and they also did it for Jaws: The Revenge.
Wow.
I don't know of any other franchise that has done that in TV Guide, at least. Yeah.
I've never seen that. Some people don't even know what a TV Guide is.
Yeah.
Who else is on the cover? Is that like Dukes of Hazzard? What is it?
You got your
is that Tom Selleck
up there. Yeah. You got your Pierce Brosnan here.
Oh, it's the Doctor's issue.
Yeah.
The TV Hunks issue from a woman's perspective.
TV Hunks issue. Oh my God! Wow.
And this is actually
really cool.
This is a Pennsylvania-based TV Guide here.
Well, Radnor, PA, isn't that where they originated?
Is that where they?
Radnor, PA.
Okay.
I never knew that.
Wow.
Yeah. That was my first movie. I don't remember making one prior to that, other than the Super 8 movies I made when I was a kid, and I was in those.
So it was your first movie? I believe it was also Leah Thompson's first movie.
It was beyond Leah Thompson's. It might have been her first job because she was reportedly had just come down from Philadelphia. She was a dancer, a ballet person, and had just come out of school. You know what? She had done the Kentucky Fried Chicken commercial.
Oh, with
and she was wearing
Shue.
that big brown hat. No, it was either that or a Burger King. No, you know what? Elizabeth Shue was Kentucky Fried Chicken. Leah had like a Burger King commercial or one of those fast food commercials. She hit that, and that was it, or a Wendy's or something. And I don't believe she had ever done a movie. So
because we were debating before we started here whether this J3 was shot first or All the Right Moves was shot first, because I believe that was her second film released that October.
All the Right Moves came right after.
Right after it?
Yeah.
And Bess Armstrong had just been in Jekyll and Hyde Together Again.
Yes, with Mark Blankfield. That's a great
before.
one.
My God, Mark Blankfield. Remember him?
Yeah.
That guy was talented.
Yeah.
Man, I haven't even thought of that guy till you mentioned his name. I remember him so well. Yeah, Bess just did High Road to China. and was talking all about it because she had just married or was getting married, I think, to the first AD at the time. She's no longer with that guy. I remember she was talking about that. And Dennis had just come off of, Dennis Quaid had just come off of The Right Stuff. So he had his pilot's license and he was all into renting, private planes and taking us up and for plane rides and stuff. Wow. So he was still in his astronaut mode. And on opening day of Epcot Center in Orlando, which was next door to where they were putting us and where we shot, Dennis flew me around the Epcot Center in this private plane.
Jesus.
Wow. Production insurance didn't have a problem with that?
What's that?
Production insurance didn't have a problem with that kind of thing going on?
Yeah, they probably did. If they found out, they probably did. But, and he also probably was...
Okay, yeah, understandable.
Not 100% at the time, if you know what I mean.
He was having fun. Fun.
There was a lot of that going on when I was there, which I did not partake in, by the way. I was the only 20-year-old square on the set. I swear to God.
Really?
Wow.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, good for you, man. So going back to Angel Dusted, there is a Jaws 3D connection with Angel Dusted.
Aside from, tell me.
You got to work with Percy Rodriguez, who did the voiceover for the trailer of all the Jaws films. The third dimension is terror.
So he did, what was he in Angel Dusted? Oh,
he's the
Percy.
Doctor. Yeah.
Percy's the Doctor. Yeah, I loved him. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was primarily, he was a great character actor, but he was primarily known for his voiceover work, as far as. And
he did a very famous Star Trek episode.
Yeah.
The original Star Trek. He was a huge episode.
Yeah.
He was like the main person on it, the guest star. I totally remember. I remember that mostly, but I wouldn't know because I didn't know he did the voiceover because that was all done in post after the fact, and we were long gone.
The voiceover for this is what you're saying?
Yeah, this trailer right here.
The actual.
Wow. Is that Mag track?
I don't know.
Is that the 35 trailer?
That's 35 millimeter. Yeah.
Nice.
Property of National Screen Archive. So
I've been meaning to return it, but I don't know.
Is that a 3D trailer? No, probably not.
No, it's flat. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think there was a 3D trailer for it.
I
think it was just the teaser primarily that was out there. And
to do the 3D trailer, they would have had to take the giant 3D lens thing off the projector and replace it with the new lens for the movie they were showing, unless that was in 3D also.
Right. I was going to say, unless that was in 3D. I don't know. I wasn't around for any of the previews.
Oh, the weird lenses they put on those projectors just looked crazy. They're like gigantic and had mirrors in them and everything. And it was technically just, you don't understand how it could have worked at all from looking at the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember the complaint from Jimmy Contner, the DP, was that they developed whatever they called the one they did this movie in. It was where they split a 35 millimeter frame into two. One was top and bottom, left and right. And I think that was the rage at the time.
It was the RE Vision 3D process. It was one of about 4, I think, that were moving around at the time.
I think it was introduced with this one, wasn't it?
McNabb 3D.
I don't know. The complaint was that there wasn't enough light. There wasn't enough information in a half of a 35 frame to give you a good looking picture. So when it went flat, for television everywhere else, that's why it looks pretty crappy.
Well, you notice it especially in 2 ways. Is in the home video version of this movie, the Universal logo comes up off center, off to one side because it's
is that right? View. No one bothered to reposition it,
and everything around the edges of the frames just chromatically aberrates like crazy, and if you're too close to the edges of the frame, it just starts looking really squirrely and weird. Yeah, and the resolution issue, it's grainy as all get out because they can only use, like you said, the top half of the frame. I think Amityville 3D was shot in the same process, and Friday the 13th 3D, I believe, was also shot in the same process, but given a slightly different name than RE Vision.
Okay, because that was before Jaws 3D. That was in 82.
Space Hunter was McNabb 3D, whatever that was.
That was a big one, Space Hunter.
Yeah.
Well, we had this brief run of 3D movies in the 80s where, and One thing I wanted to ask about was there anything you remember from being on set that was done differently, like blocking or anything like that to better facilitate the 3D? Or
Yes.
is it just that we didn't have much experience, unless you were coming up through the 1950s, which was the heyday? There weren't a lot of 3D movies shot in the 60s and 70s, maybe 12, 13, possibly, until we got the new, what was supposed to be the rebirth of 3D in the 80s. So was it just that there wasn't that much experience on board to know how to do it or how to overcome the technical parts of it?
I don't think so. I think to me, it's cyclical. They always pull it out. They dust it off every decade for another, reason to get ticket sales.
Sure.
I mean, the last 3 rounds of 3D, you just go, really? What is going on here? And it seemed to be the case then. Remember House of Wax and Dr. Phibes and all those? Those were some good ones.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know why those worked better than the ones, in the 80s and the late 70s. But there was they called it conforming or something. And Chris Condon was there, and there was another guy that were overseeing the 3D.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to be really careful with where your hand was on the plane of your body. And there was times when you say, no, don't stick your hand out, because it will disappear if you do. And there were things like that you had to be mindful of that I didn't quite understand, but it had to do with where the lens was focused and how that sat with the 3-dimensional business and the glasses and all that stuff. And there were some restrictions that they had to, or we were told to look out for. And I think, so it took longer. I just remember it being taking a really long time, but I didn't care. I was just a young kid, and I'd never, I was in a movie for the first time. I had a nice part, and I was being treated as an equal to the rest, and I didn't care. It was like it was a wonderful, wonderful experience for a young man,
It really looked
actor.
like everybody involved was having a pretty good time doing this thing. I mean, you can kind of tell with some movies where they just don't want to be there. This is one of those where it looked like, we're in Florida, it's sunny out, we're having a great time making a movie. Why not?
Because the fun is infectious, I think.
Yeah.
Especially the brotherly connection between you and Dennis Quaid comes off
Those
well.
came off well, yeah.
And
that was nice.
The relationship he has with Bess Armstrong, the one you have with Leah Thompson.
Well, he was so remarkably relaxed at the time. I mean, he was big guns at that time. And, the guy's from Texas. He's a friendly guy, amiable, genial. It's just a sweet guy, and was very host-like to everybody. He just set the tone, so he made it really easy to relax. And then, the big gun was Lou Gossett Jr., who everyone was just like, it's Lou Gossett Jr.
The guy was in every other movie released between like 1980 and 1986, it seems like.
Yeah. And of course, Officer and a Gentleman had just happened, and he had his Oscar. And
so he had the Oscar by the time he was making this?
Yes, because that was 81, I think. And he had come off of that, and he was the sweetest guy. And I used to make him say, "Don't you eyeball me, boy." All the time. And he was a good guy. I saw him one other time since that movie, and it must have been a 5-year lapse, and he to his credit remembered me and gave me a nice hug and everything. I do not know if he saw me today, he wouldn't know who the hell I was, because I look nothing like that. But
was that Keeper of the City?
I didn't work with him in that.
Okay. I wondered I couldn't remember if you had scenes with him or not. Yeah.
No. But I might have. No, I don't remember coming across him on that. I know we were in that same. I forgot all about that. If I saw him today, I would give him a big hug and say I had a great time. That's what I do now. When you get to this point and you get, nowadays we get to talk to the people from our past and that we worked with or liked. And, we have all this media to interact with. And now when I see someone I've worked with a long time ago, if they remember me, I do like to tell them, how much it meant to me, and if it was a good experience or not. Because if someone said that to me, I would appreciate it.
Sure, definitely.
So I like to do that now. And then sometimes I'll walk up to an actor in a restaurant, or if it's appropriate, I'll go, hey, and I'll say hi to them, and fully expecting them to remember me. Zippo. They don't remember nothing. Literally, that happened to me with Tim Robbins one day. At a restaurant. I mean, I spent 2-3 weeks with the guy on the Sure Thing. I mean, we ate together. We rode in cars together. We joked together.
Is that because that was so early for him in his career? Maybe he just wrote it off?
I have no idea. And then I'd come to see his plays, at his theater company in L.A., and I saw him, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago in Studio City at a restaurant with his kids or something, and he walked past. I went, hey, Tim, it's John Putch. And he goes, excuse me?
Shit.
And I went, sure thing. 3 weeks together in Sacramento. I played the we did this together. He looked at me, goes, I'm sorry, I do not remember that, is what he said. At least he apologized.
Making the movie, or
yeah.
I don't know, but anyway, it was awkward. So that's when my wife said, well, that's why you never say anything to anyone anymore out in public unless they recognize you first. Anyway,
yeah.
But now I like to do that. If I believe they'll remember me, I will do that. But I always think of the Tim Robbins moment when it comes over me.
Wow.
But you know what? If Jim Wynorski saw me, he'd go, Johnny Putch.
Fuck yeah.
Johnny Putch. He'd reach his arms out. I got great stories about that guy. I want to make a documentary about him because the proper one has never been made. There was one made.
That would be amazing.
Seriously?
There was one made by him about one movie he did, and it's called Nick Papatopoulos, or it's called Papatopoulos is a documentary. Have you ever seen it?
No, I've not.
Oh, I love
Wynorski. I don't know why I've not seen this.
Oh, you got to look it up. It's some amazing behind the scenes footage of him shooting like The Hills Have Thighs or something. It was one of those movies. Okay. One of his brilliant titled movies. And anyway, I've always said to him, I said, Jim, we have to make the proper documentary. He goes, I'm ready. I'm thinking about it. I got to interview myself. I said, get footage, sit down, talk about everything. I'll do the rest. And then we never got around to it.
Oh man, you got to.
I know. He just had a birthday. Anyway, he's an older guy.
How old would he be now?
I believe.
60s?
Really?
Oh yeah. Late.
That's not too bad.
I mean, he started with Corman back in like the very early 80s, maybe late 70s.
I don't know why I think. He was born in 1950. So what is that?
Oh, he's
69.
70.
That's math.
70.
I can't do that.
If he just had a birthday, he's 70 then. Wow.
Yeah, August 14th.
Wow.
Yeah, no, Jim, the great Jim Wynorski.
Yeah.
You should get him on your show. Oh my God. You go on for 3-4 parts talking about his career. His behind the scenes on one of the movies I was in for him. We used to call it Crash Point Crapo, but the movie was Crash Point Zero.
Treat Williams?
One of them, him or Howie, not who's the other football player? Brian Bosworth. It's one of those.
Oh wow!
Okay.
The plane crashes and they're out in the snow, and they use the footage from Cliffhanger. The plane crash and Cliffhanger. Anyway, on the behind the scenes, comes up and goes, and there's Johnny Putch. There's Johnny Putch. His mother's the dingbat.
What?
That's all I said. I love it.
Oh, he's great.
Anyway, sorry, sidetrack. Well, you can't talk about, monster movies without including Jim.
No, I'm the king of derailments on this show, so he's used to it. Yeah,
very much so. Yeah.
Clearly, you both have no time issues. Otherwise, you'd be moving things along.
We just didn't want to waste your time.
We're tangenting off into areas you'll never. Anyway,
try to keep it very organic.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
One thing I wanted to ask about is, what is Standoff? Because outside of Jaws 3D, I don't think I've seen or heard of this bar game anywhere.
Yeah, I never heard of it either. I mean, I would have to. I mean, I know what it was because we had to do it in the movie. It seemed like just a dumb masculine game that somebody made up. I don't know if that was Gottlieb
Is it a
or
regional thing or
one of the other guys. I have no idea.
It seems very plausible though, like in the bar atmosphere. It seems like that would have either been a thing or would have caught on.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I mean, when you have darts and shuffleboard and all that other stuff, why would you need standoff?
So no one's done a standoff movie like they did arm wrestling with Over the Top.
There you go. Stallone. That needs to happen. Yeah, a little Lincoln Hawk action.
Could call it Down on the Ground and just have a guy on the poster pushing someone over a table or something.
That's right. And trivia in that standoff scene, if it's still in the movie, right before, I guess Leah comes up and challenges me. I don't remember.
No, she's already competing. Yeah. And then you go up and you notice that they're playing it.
It's a game of balance and deception.
Well, the guy that she dispenses with right before me, I think, is the great Carl Mazzacone, who at the time was he's a big Hollywood producer, but at the time he was the locations guy on the film. And he was also the guy that built the tank, oversaw building the tank.
Oh, wow.
The water tank down on the SeaWorld grounds. And Carl went on to great acclaim with, the Saw movies and that studio. And he also did the last Texas Chainsaw reboot. I don't know if there was one recent. It was the one before that anyway.
It's hard to keep track.
Oh, it's on the way. There's one on the way.
Rebooting. Okay.
Anyway, old friend of mine. I met him on that show, and there he was being an extra in the film. So,
that's wow.
Little trivia there. That's one of the producers of a couple of the Saw movies and Texas Chainsaw, in keeping with our theme here.
Theme, yes,
certainly.
Yeah.
But that's I love that scene, and of course it leads into crazy mischief out on the beach.
That was embarrassing.
Really?
That was really embarrassing. I'm not a buff guy. I was slender, but I didn't have six packs and all that shit. And when they said, "Oh yeah, you got to run around in your bathing trunks," I don't know how I got through it, but I didn't eat a lot, and I still can't believe I'm running around in my jockey shorts, chasing Leah. And
that part's believable.
Yeah,
I guess. But that was true. I can't believe I couldn't say no to that because it's in the script and I didn't know how to get around that. So no one seemed to care. Whereas a lot of times in my career, I've been told when I was an actor on television or something, hey, you need to lose weight before you come back next year or something like that. Or you really don't have the proper physique for television. Literally. Showrunners have told me this. Yes. This is Hollywood for you.
Yeah.
So luckily nobody said anything about that to me because they were all looking at Leah.
There's ample distraction in that scene.
But I have great sympathy for anyone who has to shed their shirt, men specifically, on in movies or television. I just understand the discomfort if you're
someone in 3D. Oh my
God.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was a nighttime scene. I was very cold. I found most of the time when you'd come to set, you just were going to be wet. So there was literally a lot of wetness in that film. I remember being cold a lot, even though it was a warm climate down there. We were there in the winter time, though.
Okay. I think you can see people's breath on screen in some of the night shots.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
every once in a while.
But that's so speaking about the script, like how did that come about as far as did you actively seek this out? Were you a Jaws fan or you were like, hey, this is just a feature film?
No. I was part of 1,000 young men and women who auditioned for that movie at the time. And I do remember all my friends who were coming up at the same time and doing somewhat better than me, i.e. Helen Hunt. We'd be talking because we did Angel Dusted, and we'd be talking like, okay, when did you go in? Who'd you read for? And then we saw each other one day on callbacks. Another person I saw was Jennifer Jason Leigh, who I was floored by because Fast Times had been out, and I was like just amazed by her. And she was reading for Leah's part.
Oh,
and
wow.
all of them, just, name all of them. Tony Edwards was there. They were all there, reading for these roles. And I do not know how I ended up with it. Probably because, I don't know, I was trying to be funny most of the time, and I was very relaxed during the auditions. And I guess Joe liked me, and so did Alan. And then I got paired up with Leah at one of the finals, and there was a bit of improvising, and I was stunned. I couldn't believe it.
Well, I
was happy to do it.
The funny, yeah. So that brings into the chemistry too, because you just feel comfortable. You're already supposed to be brothers, and just the situation, you want that chemistry. So that's probably the shoe-in for you.
Yeah, I hope so. But, now knowing what I know, since I'm a filmmaker and a director and all that stuff, now I know there are other things, there are other factors that go into casting people. And, maybe I was the guy that was available and could do it cheap versus the other people who were like asking an arm and a leg. I ended up making nothing. I mean, really not much money at all in that film for 3 months work. So it could have been that. I don't know. I'm suspicious of everything because I know so much now. And I just look back on everything. Like I did 2 episodes of Star Trek Next Generation when I was an actor. And I played the blue-headed benzite from some water planet. And the first one I did, I got the whole appliance. I was the gimmick of the week, the monster of the week, not a monster, the alien of the week. And, 9 hours of molds and casts and, appliances and latex. And, you couldn't see it was me. And did the show, got to work with all those guys, including Johnny Frakes and Will Wheaton and those guys. And then came back a year later, they asked me to come back and do it again and play a different character of the same species, same alien species. That, yeah. So literally I looked the same. I had a different outfit. And now I was on the bridge bugging everybody, and Picard yells at me for being a dick. So, but here's the point of my story. I was so thrilled and pleased. I thought, oh, they love me. They brought me back. And, now I know how this works. No, they didn't bring me back. It's the guy they made the mold for. They're not gonna bring a whole new actor in and spend all that money and time putting a new cast on his head. No, they're gonna get the Putch guy. He was here a year ago. He cost us nothing. So that's how I can't look at things the same anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense.
It has to be true. It can't be, we loved John. He was so good. It couldn't be that. It's like, get the guy. We still have the blue head on the wall. Yeah. All right, let's write that episode and put that guy in. That's how I do it.
But you did have a pivotal turn in that first episode, though. I mean, that's a pretty performance-based episode. And
that was really hard. I beat Will Wheaton at whatever the test was to get into the Academy, Starfleet Academy. But
so on one hand, I kind of thought they would have brought him back because of that. But but
he's a different guy.
Yeah,
it's not even like they brought the same guy. I think they brought a different character because they needed that character or component to be the nudnik on the bridge, and I guess they didn't want it to be the same guy that beat Will. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I remember seeing that first episode and seeing your name on the credits in the beginning, and I'm like, where is he? And I'm waiting, and then the whole time you're in it, and I'm like, wait a minute, oh, that's him, because you had that weird upper lip thing.
Oh, there was this thing that stuck out of my chest with lights on it and dry ice crystals in it, and I had to puff into it in between lines. Jesus. Can you get that to smoke up? I'm going, seriously? I just had to do a monologue of jargon that I don't know what means, and then you want me to puff into the tray at the right time. It's pretty funny.
Very technical.
I could do that stuff, though. I did a good job. And then what's funny is most of the cast didn't know what I looked like. And, I'd come to set every day, hey, John, how you doing? And, and everyone was nice to me and everything. But like if they saw, and one day if they see me walking across a lot without the makeup on my way home or on my way in, I would say hi, and they would not know who I was.
They give you the Tim Robbins.
They give me the Tim Robbins.
But reasonably so.
Yeah, wow. and then because Junie Lowry Johnson was the casting director of that show, she also cast the First Generations film, and I was in that too.
Okay, that's
and
right.
her thing, what they were doing at Star Trek at the time was we'd like to get all of our great guest star actors and populate the movie with them. So in the film, there's a bunch of small parted characters that had been on the show before, and if you look,
you're in the beginning, right? Aren't you? I'm the guy
with the camera on my head. I'm the journalist that has a camera built into his head. So I had to wear this stupid. Anyway, they call and I go to set and everything, and there's I'm on the bridge with Shatner for at least 2-3 days, which was an amazing, a whole nother episode, by the way. I got some stories. Okay,
wow, I'd imagine.
And Jimmy Doohan was there, and Walter Koenig was there, and they would not speak to Shatner. It was fantastic. His book had just come out.
They hated him.
The book,
the book. I forgot about that thing.
Who didn't? He's one of the greatest Ted Baxters in the world. He is that guy.
Yeah. He's the template.
He is the template of Ted Baxter. Anyway,
wow.
They would go into the turbo lift because the scene required them the door to open and the three of them walk onto the bridge for the first time or whatever. And I'm the journalist, and my buddy Tommy Hinckley's got the microphone or the pad or whatever. He's the mic guy. I'm the camera guy, and so they have to go into the turbo thing, which is just a fake, elevator with a sliding door that two guys slide like the old days. And they wouldn't close the doors until right before, right after the slate and before action, they'd close the doors. But as the doors were closing, Shatner would he'd jog into place, and the two of them, this is James Doohan is looking straight down, and Walter is looking away that. And the doors close. I'm going, and for the 5-10 seconds before action's called and their cue and the door opens, they're in there alone, and they hate the guy. They hate William Shatner, and I'm just I can't even stay in character. I'm sitting down there. I'm elbowing Tommy Hinckley on a major movie, set, playing a part, being hired, and all I'm doing is salivating. I'm going, I can't fucking believe what I'm seeing. I'm seeing Star Trek history in front of me, and the doors open and they come out and everything, and they play the scene and everything, and then the scene's over, and Walter and Jimmy doing, they just Rick out of there like crazy until they're called back. Just hilarious stuff. There's more, but let's table that.
Yeah,
that's a space show, not a fish movie.
Well, it's all relative in some way or another.
There's crossover. You could make an argument there.
That was some good times. And I used to come home every day from call to wrap. I would recount the whole day to my wife and anyone else who would listen. I go, you're not going to believe what he did today is literally how I'd start. Oh my God, it was incredible. And that was before texting. I think we all had pagers back then. I think that was late 80s or something like that. So you couldn't even.
Yeah.
Oh, it was 94. Yeah.
Well, you may have shot in 93, but yeah.
That was incredible.
Because I remember the negotiation involved to get some of the classic crew back, and some of them wouldn't come back.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I think there had to be certain deals made in order for those two to come back anyway.
Sort of like how Roy Scheider arranged it specifically so he could not possibly be involved in Jaws 3D.
Well, I didn't think that was a probability anyway.
Well, he
took off of Jaws 2.
From what I understand, he took the Blue Thunder deal just to make sure he would definitely have a conflict in schedule. Because he'd already been through this.
Why was he contracted to do another one?
He wasn't.
He was not. He did Jaws 2 to get out of his contract with them for a two-picture deal.
Oh.
Well, he was gonna do the Deer Hunter,
right?
And he didn't agree with the script. He didn't buy that whole ending to The Deer Hunter. And so they were banking on him being in it. And he tapped out, and they made a deal to, if he did Jaws 2, that would constitute 2 films. Because he'd already done Sorcerer with William Friedkin.
Right.
So that would have been the third one.
I like how you used the original title for that one, not the retitle, Wages of Fear, that came
Wages of Fear
later. Yeah.
I just saw that about 2-3 years ago at the DGA at a screening, and Friedkin was there and he talked about it.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if you've ever gone to any event where that guy talks. That guy can talk.
I've not
for
been
days.
But yeah, he's one that'll listen to any story he tells.
He remembers everything. He remembers every name, and he remembers every crew member. I just can't believe it. Like he's naming people up on the guy wouldn't stop talking about Sorcerer. I heard the whole story. I was there with a friend of mine, and it was great. It was great. Scheider was, I think he did the right thing. I think he really did the right thing. You know?
Well, Jaws 3D, it should have been more about the kids.
Yeah, well, that's
point,
the other thing, too, is I don't know that it
the
was
2 kids. Yeah, it could have been. Yeah. You've heard the story that Carl Gottlieb wrote a comedy version, right? Like a spoof
for
on an airplane.
Jaws 3 People Zero, I think is what it was called.
Exactly. And it really, I got to think, you're right about that, because when I heard there was a third one and I was reading for the character of the grown-up little kid that was afraid of the one playing with the bullets on the beach, or the kid that was afraid of the one. Yeah. I thought, wow, this is great. I would want it, because the 2 spent time with all those kids on the boats, which I thought was great. Keith Gordon and all those people. And seemed interesting, especially if you had Dennis Quaid. But, you read the whole thing, you go, oh, okay, we're at a theme park, we're at an amusement park. And it was kind of weird.
They pretty much remade Revenge of the Creature.
Is that what it was?
Which was also a 3D movie. And it was based in, I don't remember the theme park in it, but it certainly wasn't SeaWorld.
No kidding.
But yeah, it was like, they had the attraction and the creature broke loose and created havoc, and it's kind of the same thing.
God, you got to wonder, is that Sid Sheinberg's idea, or did he just throw that out one day in a meeting? Make it like, what you would call it?
And I have, because it would have been Sheinberg to shoot down the Zanuck Brown idea to partner with the National Lampoon. And then in a way, that's like George Lucas doing Spaceballs. You don't want them to shit where they eat. You know what I mean? Like, it's probably best that they didn't do that.
Well, it's also for the best, because for the Lampoon version, they wanted Joe Dante, and he didn't get that picture and went on to do The Howling a little bit later than that. So he might not have done The Howling if he'd been involved with this instead.
Yeah.
This is amazing, your knowledge. I mean, that's
Thank
you. Good job.
This is our world. So from a different angle as a fan, But yeah, so I don't know that there was ever a scripted version including Martin Brody. I don't know that there was ever a possibility that they were going to try to wrangle Scheider to do it, or they just said, screw it, we're just going to do a whole different plot, take it to Florida, put the kids in it, and then move on from there.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it works. I mean, it's like you said, it's kind of a logical progression story-wise. Scheider would have benefited nothing from doing this. I mean, he kind of covered it twice, so why do it,
Talking about, if we just briefly about number 4, my connection to Lance Guest. Let me explain that.
You did a short film with him.
You did?
You did.
I did. And I knew him in the rooms all those years. And, what was the great movie he did with Robert Preston?
The Last
Starfighter. Yeah. Incredible movie. Yeah. Fun. Anyway, Lance did number 4, right? He was... I don't know. Did he play one of the boys, or did he play somebody new? I can't remember.
No, he plays the Dennis Quaid role.
Oh, he plays Dennis Quaid. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, Lance was also in one of those Jim Wynorski, Crash Point Crappa movies that I was in, because I was directing for the same company action movies with just hilarious titles and actors in them, and then Jim was also there doing his stock footage movies. That's what they were back then.
Andrew Stevens' company.
Yeah, this is Andrew's company and Ashok's company. It was called for a while it was called Phoenician. Before that it was called Royal Oaks. Anyway, lot of video in the 80s. Anyway, so Lance is in. Jim says to me, Johnny, the guy that's playing the whatever his name was, he was some TV actor. I can't get him approved with the insurance because he's got a bad ticker. I need you to be this guy and play and have the heart attack for me, in the snow. And I go, Jim, I'm 30. What do you? What? He goes, doesn't matter. You could have had a bad ticker. You could have a valve. Anyway, I go, okay. He goes, look, I need you to be. So anyway, so I get shanghaied into this, and all I want to do is direct, and I'm fine directing. But even though I still was acting, it was like, it was kind of fun. It was like being at a Corman studio. So I'm on this Crash Point Crapo movie. And I've directed 2-3 of these movies for Andrew, and I know what's going on. I know the crew. I know it's all the same. Everything's the same, and we all know what's going on. But Lance, who had been cast to be the hero guy or something, had no idea what he was getting into with Jim.
Wow.
And I had done my short film, and I'd known him. He dated many friends of mine, and he was a good guy. And we'd see each other occasionally. And he shows up on set, and there's a scene, we're in a plane, and there's a scene in the script where a helicopter lands on top of a mountain. This is also, I think, from Cliffhanger. They use this footage where a helicopter comes in and either strafes this little shack or they rescue somebody. I don't remember. The point is somebody has to jump out of a helicopter, okay? And Lance's character has to do that. And he says to me, we're like in between shots and we're on the airplane. He's going, how are they going to do that helicopter thing? I mean, no one's talked to me about stunts or anything. And how do they have the money to do this? And I literally looked at him, just tears streaming down my face of laughter. I was going, oh, no. You're not going to jump from a helicopter. That's stock footage from Cliffhanger. Didn't you know that? He turned blue. He like literally was looking around like, get me off this picture. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. And he didn't know. He was just like, here's a $1 million film. Go play this hero. It's this great thing. When you're an actor and you're in your 20s or 30, whatever, you go do the job. But he had no idea what he was in for. And I explained to him how they do the sequences. I go, this plane crash we're in and we're playing? I believe this is the movie it was, where it was the plane crash. It was either that or another one. It was another airplane, because once they had airplane footage from a couple different movies, you would use them over and over again.
Write the script around it.
But I said, the plane crash we're pretending to do? He goes, yeah. I go, Cliffhanger. Remember that plane crash? Yeah. That's probably what you're going to see.
If you loved Cliffhanger, you're going to love your performance of this.
Oh my God. He was so upset. I remember, I'm sure he would laugh about it now. And then I remember I had to talk down Susan Blakely in a scene, because Jim's a rather rough around the edges guy. And if you don't know him, he's a teddy bear. If you don't know him, you could get really upset by him or insulted by him. And Susan Blakely was terrified of him. And this is Susan Blakely from Towering Inferno, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful Susan Blakely. I was like, oh my God, I'm talking to Susan Blakely. I had to explain to her about Jim. I said, don't ever be upset with anything he says to you. He'll yell out at you stuff that you will not believe comes out of a director's mouth about your last read or your last take. And I said, just don't, whatever you do, he does not mean it, and don't worry about it. And she was so happy to hear that. And I got to have a nice couple days with Susan Blakely. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That is a
Johnny Putch. Johnny Putch, his Poseidon adventure. It's the longest.
Oh, no. Yeah. Love Wynorski, man.
Let me just finish up Wynorski. The reason he's in American Pie, Book of Love, is because myself and Mike Elliott, who is the producer, all worked.
Came from Cornwall.
We've all came from, yeah. And And when that part came, when they were like, back then, the money they had then, we brought him up we had to convince them that he was a new up and coming older guy. And we actually credited him in the credits as introducing.
Oh no.
And no one said, hey, what are you doing? None of that. It was just like flew by. We laughed so hard. Anyway, so we had him up there and he played insane son of Monique, the soon to die hooker, 80-year-old hooker.
He does give a compelling performance.
Oh my God. And that's where that little clip came from on that podcast.
Wow.
That you quoted. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was a riot. Anyway.
Good stuff, man. Oh, wow.
All right. What else? Should we talk about a little more of the movie here? Bess Armstrong, love her.
Well, yeah, that's something I wanted to talk about because in a way, this is kind of her movie more so than Dennis Quaid.
Yeah.
Because she did a lot
fair.
She had to train with the Dolphins, a lot of that. And she gives, I don't know, she gives like the most, of course, she's the most knowledgeable character in the film.
Yeah. She's the smart, brainy, good looking, scientist.
Oh, yeah.
She's great. I just had lunch with her last year before pre-COVID.
Wow.
We reunited and had a lunch together. It was so much fun. She looks the same.
Seriously. Yeah. Wow.
The same. But she lives in LA and is still an actress and loves to she said she's been getting some TV work recently on stuff. She's just a good nut. I was single-handedly responsible for getting all of the actors condos during the filming of that because they had us at the Sheraton SeaWorld Hotel, and you're looking at like months in a hotel. I had the idea. I went to I heard some of the crew were getting apartments, just to get out of the hotel. And so I went to the UPM and I said, do you mind can you just take the money you would spend on the hotel room for me? And would I be able, could you just let me rent a condo or something? He goes, yeah, well, I'll do that. And he literally just gave me cash or something for the amount spent on the condo. And I went out and rented a 2-story condo with a pool and like 2-3 bedrooms and like furnished for like nothing. I mean, nothing. Wow. I mean, it might have been like $400, for the month or something. It was so cheap. And then budget rent a car back then in Orlando, because there was car wars back then, was $99 a month, unlimited mileage. Wow. So guess who rents a brand new Camaro while he's there? Me. Okay. So I had, and the per diem they gave you, I didn't touch my salary because the per diem was so enough per day that it was ridiculous. I might have had, at the time it was a lot. It was like, it must have been $500 a week in cash at least.
That's
maybe
still
it was more. That's a lot. Yeah. And that's what I lived off of, and bought the camera that I ended up taking that photo with that we talked about. And, I used that, and I rented the condo, and then Bess heard about it. Dennis heard about it. Bess goes, whoa, I want that. I said, all right, I'll hook you up. And so I hooked her up with my realtor lady that I found, and she ended up getting Dennis a house. Bess had a house. I think Lou went off, did it too. I'm sure Leah did too as well. So I was the concierge to get people out of the hotel into. And I can't believe they let them do that. Wow. Nowadays they wouldn't let that happen.
How come Gossett didn't have better accommodation?
No, he probably did. I don't really remember doing anything for him. He probably had his own thing to begin with. I'm sure he had a rental house. But we were all in the hotel, and we got the rest of us were in the hotel, and we got out.
Nice. The whole production owes you a tremendous debt.
I did some things. I was responsible. I have a few things, I'm responsible.
You made an impact.
Yeah, I was probably the most beloved actor amongst the skiers. The skiers and the boat guys. We hung out with them all the time. I loved them. and I'm still in touch with a couple of them. And what else? I learned how to jet ski. That was pretty fun, even though I didn't need to do it in the movie. I was out there with Dennis learning how to jet ski.
That could have been a great scene.
I know.
Sure.
I was pretty good
Could
at
have
it.
wrote that in.
I was really good at it.
Wow.
I still can jet ski to this day, the stand-up kind.
Well, you got to do the bumper boat, you know. It's
Got
sort
the
of
bumper
like,
boat.
well, it's
Could not
it's
water
like a jet
ski,
ski
though.
at all. Never mind.
Could not water ski. I went out with Leah to learn water skiing on a lake. You know, they sent me out with Dennis and Leah all the time to do stuff, even though I didn't have to do it in the movie. I guess just to bond. And I could not stand up on two skis. Not a chance. Couldn't do it. But I was there.
I don't think I've never
like
tried
skating
it,
on
so.
water. I don't think I could do that.
Crazy.
But there should have been now that you say jet ski, there really should have been a jet ski movie in the 80s.
Yeah, how
Like just
come there
as a
wasn't?
sport. I always wanted one, like
I
a
know.
Rad or something like that.
There's
you
any
know?
other kind of movie about they skipped jet skis?
I mean, they touch on it a little bit in Police Academy 3. They have that whole end sequence. It's on the jet skis, but I was like, give me a whole movie.
You
about
could
that,
even
like a
work
contest, something.
even work the 80s training montage into the whole jet ski thing.
Yeah.
It would have been fabulous.
I know. There's so many
Movies
things.
missed.
Oh, I just looking at the IMDb. It says Carl Mazzacone, the producer that was in the standoff. He's listed as the standoff player. Oh, and I
That's it?
forgot. His first film he produced was Boxing Helena. You might have heard of that film.
Oh, wow.
my God! Really?
Yeah. Jennifer Lynch. Yeah.
Wow.
No, not Jennifer Lynch. Yes, Jennifer Lynch, because they
Yes.
just remade it recently. And did
Oh, they
Jennifer?
did?
Yeah,
I think so.
did Jennifer Lynch remake her own movie?
I don't think so.
I don't
but
think
I
so.
don't know for sure.
I have some
Julian
really
Sands.
great photos of, the security on this was like you had a badge that was laminated with a tag on it that you clipped to your shirt, and it had the profile of a shark. I have a picture of it I could send you, and a number.
Wow.
And I was number 6. Having the low number was always what you wanted. I think Dennis had number 1 or something. Joe had 1 or something. Anyway, I had number 6. But you could walk around the back areas of SeaWorld where they had the effects. People were back there. There were like buildings and warehouses that weren't being used that they were actually building the sharks in and the dolphins and all the animatronic stuff. And literally I would walk around with my friend Jonathan, who came down from New York to be my stand-in and PA on the movie. We walk around, take pictures with Bruce, like literally hanging from you're like this,
Nice.
you're doing the whole posing in front of sharks. It's crazy. And no one chased you away. No one said, hey, don't do that. And, no one said, hey, give me those negatives. Nothing.
They would now, yeah.
I have folders and folders and folders of pictures, and I've collected all of Carl's pictures. Joe gave me all of his. I have like hundreds and hundreds of photos from the making of that film. Which is too bad this isn't
needs to be
a
a
visual
book.
podcast, but
We'll get there someday.
Visual.
But
Could even do part of the book in 3D, so you could use the glasses and everything.
Oh.
That'd be something.
Ah.
wouldn't that be something? What's
Interesting.
funny is will anyone remember it? That's the thing. There'll be
There's
Oh yeah.
There's great fandom, but I think a lot of the fandom is from the cheesy aspect, which you can either agree with or not. But
for sure.
they come at it from a different perspective, and
There's an appreciation of it. It's the cheese factor.
Well, it's certainly a lot.
Yeah.
It's more fun to watch than Amityville 3D.
Why was that meant to be? Was that cheesy? I didn't.
I don't know.
It's a lot more serious, whereas this one has this infectious fun about it that's on purpose. I mean, just the chemistry between the characters and and speaking of characters, I got to ask you about one of the best characters in the movie.
Yeah.
Philip Fitzroyce, Mr. Simon McCorkindale.
Oh, God bless him. Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace indeed.
Loved him.
Yeah.
Loved.
Perfectly
loved him.
cast. Perfectly
was-
cast in this movie.
Hey, to me, he was Manimal. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember Manimals?
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
Oh my
yes, yes.
Handsome, whitest teeth ever, charming. I was looking at him going, it's Manimal. I'm working with Manimal. And
Yeah.
and then he was so great. And I got a chance to talk with him when I was in London casting the Poseidon Adventure in 2005. Susan came in, his wife, Susan George, the actress, came in and read for a role. And before that, though, I identified myself to her and said, "Is there any way I could call Simon?" And I did, and I had a nice conversation with him. And then boom, just like that, he was gone. In the last 5 or 6 years. Yeah. I found out online. I didn't know. Anyway, sweet guy. Loved what he did in the movie. He was so at ease as well. Good guy. Yeah.
And him and P.H. Moriarty have a great chemistry too. Yeah. I mean, they play off well from one another.
P.H., I've seen a lot of him over the years because he stayed in touch with Carl Mazzacone, and whenever he would come into town, into the States, he would usually stay at Carl's, and there'd be cocktails and cigars, and we'd have a good reunion.
What about your experience with the original Jaws? Do you remember the first time you saw it?
Oh, amazing! Terrified. It was tremendous. I had read the book because everyone had read the book, and I don't even remember. It was like 76 or 5 the book came out.
75. Well, 74 was the book, and then 75. Oh my God!
Was I was doing summer theater in Pennsylvania, and I read it and was amazed by it. Yeah, I think between the book and the movie, that thing they did with Hooper. The change between that he didn't have the affair with Scheider's wife. Brody. Yeah. I thought that was too bad they didn't go there. That was interesting. But the book was terrifying. And then of course I read immediately after that. I read The Deep when it came out. Yeah. Right, and I saw that movie, which had
Louis Gossett Jr.'s in there.
I know. And then. By the way, with a far more tittillating and erotic opening than the girl swimming in the first Jaws film. Let's face it.
Jacqueline Bisset rhymes with kiss it.
Please. And so I read The Deep, and then I was reading all that stuff and waiting for the movies to come out. So it was something. That was a seminal film. And then going to see the movie, my dad took me to see it, and I think the whole family went. Maybe my mom didn't. She didn't care for those kind of movies because she was in the theater. So loved it. I remember loving that movie. And then of course I lined up for part 2, and I still love that in part 2 I wasn't the only one, but like talk about things that they left in the movie they shouldn't have, at the end when Bruce is biting on the power line. You can see the wire off to the right holding the line where the sleeve doesn't cover the cable they were using. It's going just blow that up. Blow that shit up.
Yeah, people. In Panavision. Yeah.
Just you can do an optical. You could have put that in the optical printer and blown that up. I think no one saw it until they finished the print because they edited those movies on those stupid upright moviolas back then. And you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, of course.
You're literally looking. It's like you're on a submarine looking through a sonar thing to look at the sonar. And I couldn't believe it when I started making movies. The last thing I wanted was a moviola. I got a flatbed. It had a bigger screen. I rented the moviola or the Chem flatbed, and you at least had a giant screen. But I mean the stuff missed. If you weren't,
by the time it gets to the end of Jaws 2, if the audience is still with you at that point, then they're going to forgive.
He kills a helicopter, so
it's amazing. It's amazing. Doesn't he shoot it again and something explodes? Didn't they do something? They repeated the shooting of something, not the compressed gas in part 1, but doesn't he kind of do the same thing? Well,
there's that accident. No. Well, he blows up in that earlier scene with the water skier.
Oh.
But there's not. Yeah, he shoots like crazy on the beach, of course, and shoots at nothing. But
but wait, the shark bites the electric cable and right. Okay. But isn't he also is he shooting at something to get him to bite it or something? I can't remember. I thought he
No,
was.
he's got like the paddle from the boat, and he's making the sounds on the on the electric cable to attract him, and it happened to work out fine for him. So,
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I was into those movies, and I really thought part 3 was going to, launch my career and like send me off into the world of major movies, and not to be the case.
You've done okay for yourself.
well, I mean, you could say the same for a lot of the people in it too. I mean,
Yeah, well,
Bess Armstrong's underappreciated, and
Well, a
Leah
lot of
Thompson, I think, just got lucky with some roles. Obviously, soon after it should have catapulted. I mean, it was a hit film. It wasn't the gigantic hit that the original was.
Made a bunch of money.
yeah, I think Dennis came out pretty good off of that one. So did Lou, but they were untouchable to when they came in. The rest of us kind of, I don't know. Yeah, Leah had something else going for her there. She got right into all the right moves before it was too late, before they caught on.
But who knew that would have been a hit movie? I mean, you had this unknown Tom Cruise as the lead in that. So
here's a funny Leah story. Even if she heard this, I don't think she'd object because she was a kid then. There was at one point in the film there was discussion of doing a foreign version with nudity. Okay, so this was broached as only it would be from that company. I remember Leah saying, "Well, I'm not going to do that. They can't make me do that." I go, "No, of course not. Of course they can't." Well, can they? I'm going to paint magic marker X's on my boobs, and that way, if I take my shirt off, they can't use the footage. I go, "There you go." But guess what? You don't have to. Just say no. It's okay. You don't. No one asked you to do that, and if they did, you have to get a lot more money and all this stuff. And she goes, "You know what? I'm never doing nudity ever in my career. I will never
in this year. I won't do any more nudity."
The very next film, completely nude with Tom Cruise.
Yes.
I'll never forget that.
Yes.
Here's another one. Once I was doing a TV episode of something with Salma Hayek, and she'd never done anything before, and she was, we were the leads in this show. And she told me at dinner one night, "I'm going to learn English so well, I'm going to get rid of my accent. And so I cannot be pigeonholed into Latina characters for the rest of my career. The next time you see me, I will be, you will think I'm an English woman." That
Desperado.
Didn't exactly. Thankfully, she did not, go through with that idea. But goes to show you that what the perception that some people have or had going into, their careers. It was funny. Anyway, it's good she didn't go through with that because she's, done quite well playing herself.
I think Robert Rodriguez even said that she wasn't considered bankable at the time when they did Desperado. And I think he even fought for her to be in that. So,
well, I don't know what she did before then. So,
Yeah, but that catapulted her.
Yeah.
And believing in her.
Totally.
So
it is a hard presence to forget in that movie with Salma Hayek, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And then,
totally.
And then From Dusk Till Dawn right after that. Yeah.
Oh, that came after? That's the one I remember.
Possible.
I think he's still the only guy I can think of that did a movie trilogy where each successive movie cost less to make than the one before it, which was the Spy Kids trilogy.
That's great. Good for him.
Each one got successively less expensive because he found better ways of doing it than he did the movie before.
Yeah, because he knows the mechanics too. He's
Mike and the Mechanics, or
could be. Could be.
No, but that brings it back to Spy Kids 3D actually broke the record that Jaws 3D held as far as like biggest opening 3D film.
I remember it was huge.
Would you consider directing a 3D movie?
Would I consider that? I probably would do it just because of the experience and the part of making a movie for me is not always about how it turns out. It's about the process and the people. And the experience, like being able to tell stories like we're doing right now, is kind of more important than the end result, because let's face it, the art has left the building in this town. Yeah, I would. That's a long-winded answer, isn't it?
No, that's a good answer.
Unless it was absolutely just abhorrent and I just couldn't relate to it. You know, if it's a torture movie, I would say no.
Oh,
yeah. I don't like torture movies. I just can't do it. I don't like to watch them, and I can't imagine like going, yeah, let's scream louder, make it seem like you're someone just tore your innards out. You know, I can't. I just can't imagine.
It's hard to give direction on that.
I would be the director. I would be the director going, are you okay after that take? That's what I would be. I go, because that was horrible and horrible to watch. You're doing great, but this is, I just got to tell you, you're traumatized and I want to help.
I'm going to put you up in a condo after this.
Yes!
I promise.
Yes, with my Jaws 3D per diem. Oh my God. Let's see, what other tidbits? Never had tequila before until that movie, Jaws 3D. And I can thank Dennis Quaid for introducing me to Cuervo Gold, which turns out to be the worst tequila you could ever drink. Yet
You're not sponsoring the show, so we're okay.
Yeah, he taught me how to drink tequila. He was so funny. He kept giving me shots. And then the next day I was barfing all day long. Thank you, Dennis.
So that was that prior to the breakfast table scene?
No, but I called on it. I recalled it in my acting, because I heard, when you're an actor, you're supposed to recall, right?
Sure. Yes. Just a few days prior.
Yeah, I recalled it.
Wow. Now, I was just wondering, how much of the experience did you take with you in terms of doing the movie Deepwater Poseidon? Did any of the Jaws 3D experience? You do have a shark in deep water, by the way.
Thank you for bringing that up. By the way, it was called Intrepid first.
Yes.
And then they changed it to Deepwater because probably someone else had an Intrepid
title.
Movie. What? Intrepid?
Intrepid's an awesome title. Deepwater is like, what?
I think it's because the foreign whatever changed. Anyway, that was the James Coburn stock footage movie. And I tell you what, when you're laughing, but that was a stock footage movie, just like Crash Point Crapo that I was doing for Jim. Yeah. It was that's Andrew. That was they changed the name of the company every 3 or 4 years because so the foreign buyers wouldn't think it was them again. It was it's the best thing ever.
No more cliffhanger footage, please.
Yes, there was one buyer in the foreign. Andrew told me, he goes, we're not allowed to use Jim's name anymore because Japan had a problem with the footage. He used it twice, and they bought the same, and they were claiming they bought the same movie. And anyway, so then Jim became J. Andrews. And they did a bunch of movies under J. Andrews because of that reason. But anyway, Deepwater Intrepid was funny because there was that shark sequence inside the flooded whatever. And I rented the shark from Baywatch, the TV show. And I called the guy that created it. He was a former lifeguard. I forgot his name. Anyway, they were down in Culver City, and we went over there and said, is there any way we could, they were down. The production was down for, they were on a hiatus or something. It was near Thanksgiving of that year. And so we rented their shark, but it was a stiff shark. It didn't flex or move or anything. So really all you could do was hold the tail off camera, off frame, and push it. So there's like I'm in there doing it, or somebody else is in there like going and like having it like push and like bang into the thing, and then you cut away real quick, and then we mixed stock footage of sharks from Blue Planet or one of these other things. And what was Full Circle? Oh, I know it was Full Circle. I used the trailer for that movie to get the Poseidon Adventure job from Larry Levinson over at his company that made that for Hallmark Channel. And
because it capsizes too, doesn't it? The ship capsizes in deep water.
It does, but that was CG, which there is no.
But was that like a deciding factor? Because you kind of almost do a little Poseidon Adventure in deep water already.
I did because that needed to be a sequence, and we did the Shatner where you tilt the camera and everybody does this, you know,
Yes.
and it works. And that's where I devised the shoot down at the floor and cock the camera a little bit, and then have people off camera throwing plates and chairs skidding through the frame, and someone's on a cable, you know, and you pull the stuntman by on a cable, and it worked. Low budget cheese worked, and it's all the Shatner thing that I learned from watching Star Trek. Then when we did Poseidon Adventure, I literally told them we're going to do this as the same thing, except I had all the toys. I had cranes, you know, I had like multiple cameras. I had like, you know, 25 people off camera doing, and they're all in there. The same shots used in Deepwater are all in the Poseidon thing,
Wow.
and they look great. And then, of course,
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Poseidon had a tilting set. They literally had an engineers built a giant circle, like a hamster, a hamster cage. And then a set was like built inside it, like a stateroom set, or there was two that we used, a stateroom and a storeroom. And you dress it, and we bolted a camera to the floor that went around with the stayed at floor level, but was bolted and went upside down all the way around. And then there were like other cameras shooting at the same time, everything else. And that was a real tilt set, which was an amazing thing. But everybody in the ballroom, guess what they're doing? They're doing the Shatner and the Dutch head and everything. And I have such good behind the scenes footage of that movie. I have 70 hours of behind the scenes
Holy crap.
of that TV movie that I shot when I was there, thinking the fans would want this someday. I still have it. It's on a hard drive, and I look at it all the time in the closet and go, I could cut an unbelievable behind the scenes movie right now with this footage.
Yeah,
and
it'd be like a second disc, 2-disc release or something.
Yeah.
A re-release. Yeah.
Or the third or fourth disc.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's how the connection. Yes, I had experience with the with the capsized ship, and that trailer, as cheesy as the movie was, the trailer was pretty good because they did good trailers at Andrew's place. I walked into Larry Levinson's office when I heard they were doing it. I said, Larry, I've done this kind of movie before. I need you to watch this trailer because you need to think of me, you know, for this film. I had done like 2 other ones for him, dramas. And he watched it, and, you know, and then like, I don't know, like 4 days later, I got the job. So,
Wow.
I have a funny story, Poseidon story. Remember, I had an unbelievable cast in this movie, and
Yeah, you did.
Peter Weller. I was just going to
Brown.
say
Yeah.
you know, the Chin. We called him the Chin because of RoboCop.
That dude is intense.
Yeah, he's so intense.
Yeah.
He wanted to be called the Captain on set, and
My.
just call me the Captain. And you know, when I said, Peter, I need you to Captain. You know, he'd say that like, okay, so like first day of shooting goes by, everything's fine, and like afterwards, I shook his hand. He goes, "Thank you." I go, great. I said, Peter. I said, can I call you Peter when we're not working? He goes, yeah, of course. I went, okay, thank you, because this is too hard for me. I said, you know, come on. Anyway.
Yeah, you're technically the captain.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have to refer to you as
call
captain.
him captain, you know, whatever. It was so funny. That was some funny stories there. Got some Rutger Hauer stories. Oh my God, there's so many things. Here's a good celebrity story. I don't know why I went over. I went to Susan Sarandon.
Yeah.
And my mom did a movie called The Buddy System, I think, with Susan Sarandon.
Oh, yeah.
Or was it called something else?
That sounds right.
That sounds right. I think she was in that. Okay, then that took me to Nancy Allen, who I don't know if she was in.
Brian De Palma.
Yeah, I don't know if she was in that movie either, but my mom was in a movie with Nancy Allen. And one day I see Nancy Allen at my supermarket in Los Angeles, because there's a lot of celebrities shop at this Gelson's Market over in the Valley. You know, and I feel a connection to her because she did this movie with my mom. And so I took a chance. I was with my sister. We were having lunch, and I said, I'm gonna go say hi to her. I'm sure she'll think I'm a masher or something, but I'm going to go up there and talk to her. So I went over to her, and by the way, still beautiful, right? Still dressed gorgeously. Anyway, I went up to her and I said, hi, Nancy, my name is, and I told her my name, and I said, my mom did a movie with you in blah, blah, blah. Her name is, Jean Stapleton. And her look went from sheer terror to, oh my God. You know, she was like, she changed. And I said, the reason I wanted to say hi is because she's no longer with us, as you know, but she loved you and loved working with you and appreciated every day she had stuff to do with you on the set. And because of that, I feel the same way. And she literally
wow.
She melted and she said, oh my God, thank you. And it's great to know you. And then like instantly I'm her Facebook friend that day. I'm pretty sure it was the same movie with via Tim Robbins, but I won't know because I have to look it up and she has too many credits to find it. So my mom's reaction is always to the human that she works with. Not so much the talent, but it was the humanity of the person, and that was the way she was, and that's how she struck most people in her life. So I've tried to be that way, except in certain occasions.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
It's a tough walk. It's a tough walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, boys.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
You got it, man.
It has been an honor and privilege.
Yeah.
Keep in
touch with you. Thank you so much, man.
All right.
Take care, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
You have been listening to a special presentation of the Smooth Thrills Radio Hour. Thank you for listening. The Smooth Thrills Radio Hour is a production of Ghostcraft and is recorded live in Dallas, Texas. Please email your questions and comments to autopilot@smooththrillsradiohour.com. Enjoy the rest of your day. Kisses.